glorious victory. All reason, no logic. Hosting King of the Hill lobbies. Most Sundays. Join our Discord to be part of the action. See you in game, Commanders. Beyond all reason fans, welcome to King of the Hill by all reason, no logic. Experience 2 or more teams facing off in epic scale warfare, where the Horde gang up on the Kings of the Hill. Kings start off with an economic bonus. They do their best to defend an onslaught after a no-rush timer expires. Test out your micro and defend against multiple players in variations of this game mode. Or be part of the masses. Team up with your allies to topple the throne in a glorious victory. All reason, no logic. Hosting King of the Hill lobbies. Most Sundays. Join our Discord to be part of the action. See you in game, Commanders. Beyond all reason fans, welcome to King of the Hill by all reason, no logic. Experience 2 or more teams facing off in epic scale warfare, where the Horde gang up on the Kings of the Hill. Kings start off with an economic bonus. They do their best to defend an onslaught after a no-rush timer expires. Test out your micro and defend against multiple players in variations of this game mode. Or be part of the masses. Team up with your allies to topple the throne in a glorious victory. All reason, no logic. Hosting King of the Hill lobbies. Most Sundays. Join our Discord to be part of the action. See you in game, Commanders. Beyond all reason fans, welcome to King of the Hill by all reason, no logic. Experience 2 or more teams facing off in epic scale warfare, where the Horde gang up on the Kings of the Hill. Kings start off with an economic bonus. They do their best to defend an onslaught after a no-rush timer expires. Test out your micro and defend against multiple players in variations of this game mode. Or be part of the masses. Team up with your allies to topple the throne in a glorious victory. All reason, no logic. Hosting King of the Hill lobbies. Most Sundays. Join our Discord to be part of the action. See you in game, Commanders. Beyond all reason fans, welcome to King of the Hill by all reason, no logic. Experience 2 or more teams facing off in epic scale warfare, where the Horde gang up on the Kings of the Hill. Kings start off with an economic bonus. They do their best to defend an onslaught after a no-rush timer expires. Test out your micro and defend against multiple players in variations of this game mode. Or be part of the masses.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Faction Wars Night, or Faction Frenzy, I think I called it in the announcement.
we literally just had a conversation about how it's not Faction Wars, and I said I'm just gonna call it Faction Wars anyway. Twig said no, Faction and he's the first one to get it wrong.
Everyone knows Faction Wars. It sounds better too.
That's a fact. That is some gold right there. That is some like that could not have been better. That just genuinely could not have been better.
Looks like the factions actually worked. Legion Kings versus Cortex Peasants.
Oh, what a good day. What a good day.
That was funny. All right, we're just going to get Faction Wars now because it sounds better and because I fucked up straight away.
Welcome, Commander.
Alrighty then.
Now, Flo, if you're listening, I'm going to send an invite for a shared Twitch stream chat.
And Tank Tom, can you post the rules in chat?
Yep, I can do that. They should all be on the welcome message for everyone, but we can. They're going to be up here.
Okay, shared chat is there. Not sure if it's actually working, but
No, that doesn't paste them all nicely.
now you gotta do it in the main menu screen. Sorry, that's usually my job, Tom.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were trying to organize the Twitch stuff. So Twig, why don't you post the rules then?
Can do. Tom is still not getting it right. I'll just paste it.
There we go.
There we go.
Yeah.
Excelente.
It doesn't like the copy and paste in a chunk, and I don't have them all separated else. Somewhere.
P.S. Well done, Psycho Fufu. Another no-go zone for the peasants. Illustrated there for them to see. Makes it very obvious. We do get a few rule breaks, but if that happens tonight, there might be a little bit more Houdini happening.
Oh yeah, where is my list of commands? There we go. Rec units is something I have available now.
Don't walk to those mexes. We're going to force start this one, guys. Tom is getting ready in the middle. And let's get things going. That's weird, it didn't work for me.
Nor me.
We have lost our force start abilities.
I do believe it just switched over to event mode, which might have
Tom in game can maybe call the vote.
Oh, it's counted down now.
Battle started.
Good evening and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Faction Wars King of the Hill, where we've put Legion in the middle for the first time ever. Well, all of the Legion for the first time ever, and then around the outside we do have Cortex, so that means everyone's behemoth rushing, right? Anyway, joining me in the casting booth is Twig, and in the game is Tank Tom. This is King of the Hill, where we place 5 kings, each in their own triangle. They must beat their triangle before they can move out to help others, but if they fall, the peasants can do the same. No rush till 10 minutes, and do try to keep yourself in the outer ring if you are the peasants, and kings, keep yourself on that 3 mechs hill. No air, no LRPCs or similar, but other than that, we're basically good to go. Also, do not use structures offensively. Twig, with a bunch of very good kings, but not very experienced in Legion, how do you reckon this one's gonna go?
They do have oodles. I haven't seen oodles in the middle, and OS usually means you're good at the game, but we have seen many times before that OS doesn't mean you're good at King of the Hill. So I'm going to go peasants, even though there's a lot of OS in the middle.
I do think that the advantage of not being Legion might be with the peasants.
But Legion do have a lot of really good units, to the point where I almost refuse to play in lobbies still with Legion. I just hate that napalm, and maybe that napalm's going to be something that's quite good that the kings can defend with.
Soul Invictus.
Good luck getting a Soul Invictus in this map. I mean, we have seen behemoths in this, so maybe. We'll see.
Alrighty. So let's have a quick chat. There is one triangle with 3 peasants. That's just the way it works. 16 players, 5 triangles, 2 versus 1 in all triangles but 1. It's just maths, people. But it doesn't really change the way that the game plays too much. The reality is that the best play for the peasants is to share the load, have one player go T2 and share that across, and instead of tapping your mexes, then handing it on to the person who isn't going to move them on past the middle, then you should definitely try to make sure that everyone gets theirs tapped. Certainly not a jab at Tank Tom from last week.
We were testing, I was looking at other things.
Sure. But the reality is that if you have a T1 push supported by T2, you're in a very good position against kings at 10 minutes. If you have a T2 if you try to invest too much in T2, then you will end up having some problems because you just won't have the unit volume, and the kings will be able to trade you too efficiently.
You know, Tank Tom, I'm second guessing your knowledge of Legion. Go on T2 lab prior to upgrading any of those metal extractors to the overcharged. I mean, I don't know the math behind it, 45% bonus, but with
Neither do I. I'm committed now.
You are committed, that's for sure. It does mean you don't have to build as much energy to keep that energy high. That is a slow build now. You've got a whole minute and a bit to get that up, reclaiming the bots.
You don't need all these constructors.
Probably only need one of them, technically.
1 to 2
Just
is always good.
that, Duffy's got them up. They're bringing in 4.1 each, plus the bonus, or is that including the bonus? It's probably including the bonus. And of course, detonating those kings to get their extra metal. Sorry, those commanders to get the extra metal in the bank. I just hate doing that as a as a king on this. You can see 2 people have already done that. Ollie, Duffy, they always do it. Definitely recommend don't fully reclaiming like Ollie just did. It means no chance of rezzing back up again, but there is always the chance to kill your opponents and res their commanders. I've seen that happen quite a bit in this. Usually at least a lane or 2 falls in each direction. Sometimes the kings get a win, sometimes the peasants, but that does not matter. The last one standing is what matters, because this is beyond all reason. That's the way it works. Oodles has gone into a lot more wind before going into T2. Yours is definitely up. You're up and going. Probably going to be dropping down a metal storage soon so you can reclaim that lab. I always like to drop down the metal storage before even building the T2 advanced metal extractors, just so that I can fully reclaim that lab and get them up so much faster.
Yeah, it's one of those ones where it's a bit of a balancing act.
And you can see how fast these are going to come down, each one and going down in just over 10 seconds with 5 construction turrets over in Duffy's base. But the wind is not at its peak, and that has meant that they're going to slow a little bit down.
And that's one of the other things you just have to pay attention to. The wind is the most efficient unit of energy per metal spent, but it isn't the most consistent, which is why Fusion's APHIS, as well as a couple of things like the advanced solar collectors, are also not a bad idea as well. But looking around the map, we're seeing quite a lot of T2 out of the peasants right now. We're seeing a lot of good mechs tapping. Doesn't look like they're going into too many constructors, which is always a bit of a trap. Each one of these is 470 metal, and the reality is that build power wise as well as resource wise, you struggle to be able to fund 2 economies this early with it without going past that 10-minute mark. But interestingly, we're seeing a lot of comms detonate around the outside. Only 6 left out of 11, which is that's a lot of metal investment into killing the kings early. We'll see how that pays off, especially if it could give something like an early fusion or something along those lines.
Okay, there is just over 3 minutes left. Kings all looking pretty healthy with fusion reactors going down for everyone just about. Some of them started, some of them queued.
Tom should have his with 2 minutes to spare, which is plenty of time. If that wind pops up just a little bit more, you should be able to get it that little bit faster as well.
Duffy's just now started overflowing energy to the team, having built that first fusion. Can't have that though. Quickly pop down to oh no, they're advanced energy converters.
I must eat the energy. And look, that's what you're supposed to do with them. That's your main form of economy. But it is a pretty strong build to be able to get a fusion up by that was probably 710. Which
I like what Oodles is doing. He's going into infestors. Infestors are a unit that can build infestors.
Yeah, but they're 250 metal each, and their attack power is very limited. It will help overcome some of the build power issues, but right now metal's the problem. These infestors at 250 metal each.
The T2 lab, and that is 10 infestors.
Yeah, that's fair. But right now, I think that would have been better in the fusion, just because at the moment the fusion is currently metal capped. So if you'd waited that extra 20 seconds or so to build it, then it would have been overall more economy by the first 10 minutes.
I am seeing a lane down the south across from Oodles. Both players going into T2. Looks like one of them hopefully gets cancelled because they are going into T1.
That's a lot of money in labs.
Yeah, that considering there's a T2 lab already producing units over in the other lane of this triangle, it would be better if this player just focused solely onto T1 rather than trying to get T2 units out, because T1 actually does a lot more than T2 in the start of the game, like a lot more, just because you can get more of it out.
I mean, I won my last game with ticks. They may have been max rank ticks, but I still won it with ticks. Alright, with 1 minute to go, let's have a quick look at where all the bases are standing. This is the point where defenses start becoming hyper necessary. We see quite a lot of the heavy ray turrets out of Duffy. These things are actually surprisingly good early game, and it's going to facilitate, because of how cheap they are, it's going to facilitate getting that extra fusion reactor. Question is, are there going to be enough units to push this? And the answer is not a chance. Not a chance. So it looks like Duffy's going to get away with that extra eco. It is going to be the fringe that looks like they're going to be under some of the most pressure early on. A T1 force from both sides with Heavy Pounder as well as Wolverine. If they can combine forces, they'll be able to do quite a lot of damage because the Wolverines will cancel out a lot of the defenses. But we're also seeing a decently strong push out of 2 of the other lanes as well. With 1 minute, with the 10-minute mark elapsing, it is time to go to the races. Let's see where the big attacks come from. We do have a handful of pounders heading to Oodles, but I do think Oodles will be able to handle that one. And we do have a push out potentially from Tank Tom as well. The question is, will these Phobos do enough against the incisors? And the answer is probably not. That's a lot of incisors.
Yeah, that is a lot of incisors.
Hoplites here to take out some of those tanks, but these things are light on the DPS. But it does look like Tank Tom does have plenty of units to deal with this, hopefully. Maybe, possibly not. Tanks going down, but the incisors are in, but some good D-guns have cleaned up most of those. A little bit of a micro mishap though, allowing those incisors in, but also micro mishap, meaning those incisors didn't do any damage. It does look like Ollie's defenses have failed for the first time in a very long time, as instead of having those beamers, only had those Pharos, and the Pharos just not quite able to keep up with the large incisor push.
Reach on the right.
Oof. Does look like they're going to get reclaimed though for little to no damage, so unfortunately no chain reacting of build power, and then eaten the fusion reactor, so not the best micro there. Unfortunate for the peasants bottom side. We do have some Sheldons shelling their way in. We'll see how long that takes. On the right hand side we do have a push out into the peasants, and this is the Decurion pushing out. Now, for those of you that don't play much Legion, the Decurion is essentially the equivalent of a pounder, but its DPS is not wasted. So in a pounder, if you overkill something, it is a long time between shots. The Decurion, because of that machine gun, just absolutely guns down light units, and it is tanky to boot. If you get a couple of levels onto these things, and it's easy to get levels onto them because they're T1 units, these things become unstoppable in the early game. Looking at the top of the map, Decurion's holding off that force that was heading in towards the fringe as well, and it does look like a bastion's going to come in. That bastion will pretty much guarantee early survival because it does outrange those Wolverines. Such a strong defensive turret. Costs a little bit more than a pulsar, but man, in this situation does it outstrip a pulsar by so much. Look at it go. It's already got 7-8. Oh my god, it's already got 10 kills and it's barely been up a few seconds. That thing is a monster.
To hold.
One bastion can hold.
There. I think I've plugged my my main screen into the wrong bloody socket in the back of my PC. I've done that before.
What?
I'm getting low FPS. I'm pretty sure I put it in the main board.
What? How do you?
I just did the reach around.
How does someone even do that?
Yeah. So I'm going to, after this game, I'm going to switch that back over and get it back onto the right amount of FPS.
Bottom of the map. It does look like Oodles has managed to win one of his lanes. The double T2 lab, just meaning there was not enough metal for any of the teams to realistically threaten him. Triple fusion coming down. And as you can see, these infestors are not very strong, but in the numbers that they were in, it just did not matter. So this is going to be a nice little availability, a nice little push out, and the break of the current meta. Right hand side, we do have a T2 push that is heading in to Duffy's base. Duffy is pushing it back with Arbicus and T1 defenses, but the Sheldons are doing a nice job of getting a lot of chip damage on with the sumos in front of them. So a nice little T2 push. If that was being supported by more units on the right hand side, it'd be quite strong, but I do believe the units were pushing over there but got pushed back because of the large number of Arbicus. So I do think that Duffy is going to be just fine. Big T1 attack coming in on the left hand side into Ollie's base, going the same attack pattern, and it does look like those advanced converters getting taken out, and this time there should be enough of the incisors to get all the way around. Just make sure they target the same thing this time instead of spreading the DPS. There we go. That is the build power down, and one of the three fusions would have been slightly better to spread those units away from the explosion, but at the end of the day, with the build power down, it is going to be rough for Ollie, especially, and without that conversion as well. Metal income is going to be limited, but the peasants do need a win because currently the kings are ahead.
Conversion. Some build towers back there.
Alright, he does look like an attack is coming around to the back of Bahout. Nice T1 force. This is legal. It's going a little bit wider than we normally would suggest, but it isn't crossing the midway point, so it is perfectly legit. The sides are things you can attack with the peasants, so good to go just there. Does look like the momentum attacking Duffy has petered out a little bit, with these Arbicus now in enough numbers that they are really threatening to those Sheldons. The Sheldons, I do believe, fractionally outrange, 850 versus 848. Yeah, okay, it's not meaningful. We're going to call that the same range. Tank Tom, learning some of the Legion units, trying to make his way across, is suffering bits and pieces of damage here, but it does look like he has his opponent well and truly under control. Army values reasonably equal, but the army value of his peasant players is mostly held up in those arbiters, so not a problem when you have units moving. Ollie taking more and more damage from Dominus, who is now in the background with some arbiters just getting those shots on really nicely done, as well as eating that metal. As soon as this Chimera goes down, that's going to be a pretty big problem for Ollie. The Chimera is a wonderful pop-up turret, so it has a pounder cannon that is longer range than a pounder, as well as the machine gun, so it cleans up so much. They are one of the strongest defenses against T1 that you can get, and that does look like this is going to be the end for Ollie. I'd actually be stealing a lot of this stuff, though it can be D-gun, so maybe just rezzing it's the better plan. Does look like Duffy's made his way out fully on the right hand side, cleaned up one of the peasants, should have enough to clean up both here with that spam coming in as well as all that long range power. Does look like it is going to be a big problem for the rest of his lane. On the bottom of the map, we do have similar attacks coming from Oodles, much smaller but still getting the damage in. It is some Phalanxes versus T1, backed up by some Arbicus, so the Arbicus getting good damage in per shot. The Phalanx is helping to deal with all of the T1, though currently focusing on a little bit of the Eco. Tank Tom no longer struggling to deal with anything because he has a Bastion. Bastions are incredibly powerful. I would highly recommend them as a defensive option if you have the 4,000 metal to spare. Well, I think the peasants are in a bit of trouble, because currently we're looking at having 2 free kings and only 1 destroyed king, and they are on the opposite sides of the map, so it's going to be hard to attack them. However, we do have a large force coming in to try to take on the Fringe. One of the problems that they're going to face is those bastions. Thankfully, one of the pseudo answers to this is the arbiters. The question is whether or not the arbiters are going to be able to get a good firing solution on the bastion. It looks like they are. If they hug that cliff, they should be able to stay alive. However, it's going to take them a while, even with that very strong missile. Probably 5 volleys, I would say, even if there's little to no repair. And man, that is a slow kill for a bastion. So that's going to be kind of rough. And while that's happening, the bastions are just eating all of those frontline units. And there we go. That is Duffy completely free, as well as Oodle completely free as well. So 2 kings next to each other breaking their lanes at approximately the same time is not something that you want to have to fight as the peasants. Couple more shots going in reasonably deep from the arbiters, but they are about to meet their doom from behind, and they weren't able to take on that bastion, so the bastion is still guarding the front. 2 bastions is a rough thing to push through. Missiles being fired into the T2 lab, which is quite the nice. And it is nearly down as well. Just needs that one more volley, but it does look like they're out of range. However, they are a little overexposed and close to Duffy now. The question is, do they have the scouting information? And they do. Good shots into Duffy's base. The conversion a little bit too close to one of the build turret blocks. So that means that the conversion goes down. That's going to stall Duffy for a little while. Thankfully, though, we do have quite a lot of build turrets in another block, which means that it is not the end of the world. One thing we do recommend as kings is do try and keep your build power in multiple chunks. Does look like Tank Tom's having a bit of trouble breaking his opponents, but also does not seem to be too much under threat. Thankfully for him, he is getting assisted from behind. The red player is starting to make their way around. It does mean he's going to have to fight a few termites in his base, but only a few, and they did come up. Oh god, oh no, if that had been microed better. Oh man, that's less than 100 health left on Tank Tom's comm. One more shot would have done it. That last tarantula is doing sorry, termite. It did do a lot of damage though, but man, if that comm had gone off, that could have been the end of Tank Tom, which would have been well needed, because this force by Oodle is not going to stop anytime soon. So the King's in a very good position right now, because there are about to be 3 Kings available versus 4 Peasants, because I do not believe that Platinum Blonde has the forces to stop this army, not even backed up by Lloyd, which is unfortunate for them, because Platinum Blonde and Lloyd known for being very strong, whether they are Peasants or Kings. So unable to break Tank Tom's iron defense, and it does look like now taking an absolute pelting for that. Tank Tom being left mostly alive. Attacks coming from behind though. Does look like they're going to grab Tank Tom's fusion, but again, split up build power, which means it's not a big deal, and those units are now being cleaned up by Tank Tom. Tank Tom has now been attacked by another set of peasants, which means he is free to start moving around the map as he pleases. So
I am very grateful that they popped up before, otherwise I would not have had units behind me and I would be dead currently.
A quick IT question, Pradith, because being the absolute dumbo that I am,
yep.
I've switched my monitors back, but the FPS is obviously staying down. Do you reckon I need a restart or just a game restart?
It depends. If your game is being powered by the CPU's onboard graphics and just being routed through your GPU, then that's a problem. So my guess is that you will probably need to restart the game, and if that doesn't work, you'll probably need to restart the computer, but I suspect it'll just be the game, because applications, when they're launched, are usually attached to some sort of graphical engine, and because you had it plugged into the wrong thing, which, by the way, he does this all the time. He is an engineer that fails to understand that you need to plug your monitor into the GPU in order for the GPU to do its thing.
I just forget every single time I change it.
What we're going to have to do is we're going to have to work out whether you have HDMI or DisplayPort coming out of your motherboard and just give you the other cable.
I've got both.
Your motherboard does not have both. No motherboards have HDMI and DisplayPort.
I reckon mine does. Yeah, it
no
does.
way.
It does, because I just changed it.
That's crazy. Your GPU should have both, but a motherboard should not have both.
They both have both.
What?
I just changed them both.
That's what? Anyway, that blows me away, because I've barely ever seen that on motherboards. That is so rare to have both. Or call me out if I'm wrong in the chat, but having built quite a few PCs, that's just not common.
Now, with this one wrapping up, I am going to quickly do a test. So sorry for the stream on the All Reason No Logic. We'll be back on that one shortly.
Does it look like Duffy's managed to clean up the Kings above him? Does look like Oodle's forces are starting to make their way to Tank Tom's Kings, while Tank Tom is engaging the 2 surviving and expanded peasants. Does look like, though, this one's going to be very much so a King's win. Just not enough pressure onto the Kings early enough. There was a couple of really good attacks, but unfortunately some miss micro just meant that Psycho and Dominus just could not quite kill their king early enough to stop the roll. A little bit of additional force sent Tank Tom's way, or sent the Fringe's way before the Bastions came up. Probably could have changed the landscape quite well. But at the end of the day, it all does come down to the right players matching up in the right places and picking the right strategies. You can be the worst peasant there is, but if you build a lot of ticks and the Kings don't have enough defenses for ticks, well, then you win your lane. You can be the best peasant ever, and if you build yourself a whole bunch of, say, pounders, and they just happen to have something that counters pounders, well, then same thing, same problem right there. Does look like we're down to the last triangle, the 3-player triangle, and they are being assaulted pretty heavily on both sides. Tank Tom's been pushed back by the Arbiter Fire. Do have res bots down there trying to get as many forces as they possibly can, but I don't see them breaking up too hard too soon. They are trying to get shots onto the parts of the base that have been seen. They are going to go for probably that APHIS. Actually, they're going to get that APHIS. They're definitely going to get that APHIS. So long as they get one more shot on, they are going to get that APHIS. It might even pop. Yeah, one more, and it is going to get the APHIS, and there are the missiles in the air. So Tank Tom will be losing that one from this volley. There we go. Tank Tom's base has been essentially destroyed, and that beautiful Sol Invictus has just shot up from a 3-minute construction time to a 25-minute construction time. So Tank Tom taking a lot of damage, and this is the power of getting units behind. So one of the things that the kings often, that the peasants often do, is they hyper focus in one area. Sometimes if you just send a series of arbiters or similar around the back of the base, you can do a ludicrous amount of damage. Spiders pretty good as well. But while that's going on, the top half of the base has been completely annihilated by the wrapping around forces of the Fringe and of Duffy. So well played by the peasants, but unfortunately not much that you can do here when the force of 4 remaining kings is bearing down on you.
I need some metal.
Tank Tom trying to get back into the game, but no chance here. This one will be over in just a moment as the last com is heading in a last-ditch attempt to the middle. Actually, it is self-D'ing. Do appreciate that one, so the next game can start. Well played, Kings. You managed to win your lanes and win the game. Peasants, more aggression, more units. And let's get on to the next one. Faction Wars continues. Like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff.
That went better than I thought I might have done. Those bastions did a lot of work.
Oh, look, bastions defensively are nuts early game. Actually, that's a really good question. Lightwolf has a good question for you, Twig. Do you often swap your monitors around? Why did you need to unplug yours and replug them? He's not here. He's restarted his computer. All right, let's get ourselves set up for the next one. I do believe our next game is going to be on. There we go. We do have ourselves a throne coming up, and I do believe that we're going to potentially make all of the peasants into something and all of the kings into, well, it is Faction Wars. Unless Twig has another plan, I do think we might make all of the peasants Legion.
You can do that, Legion, and I'm gonna say arm.
Kings will be armed then.
We had Legion Core last game, didn't we?
Yes, it was Legion Core, and I do think Legion will be in every single one of these tonight, whether it's one team or the other. I also think we're waiting on quite a few settings to punch through at the moment. There we go.
It was just that I didn't do the settings because I'd forgotten that they all reset with the event mode, but that should be good.
And have we turned off the thing which prevents this from working?
Which one?
Twig, what was the thing which prevents the factions from taking effect?
The randomized at something.
Yeah.
Say again.
Shuffle FFA box.
Sorry, I just got back on. I
yes.
cannot get my game open again for some reason.
Now, Twig, we had we did have an important question come in from chat. Lightwolf asked whether why you basically why you need to plug your monitors back in. Is that a common thing for you when you turn off your computer? Do you think you need to unplug your monitors? Is that the normal everyday routine?
I got a new PC part and I've just plugged shit into the wrong port when I put it back together.
You
I'm getting
bastard.
a phone call to fix my problem because the game's not open. I'll be back, guys.
No worries, we'll get this one kicked off. Alrighty, so the Fringe, unfortunately, well, we have 2 players that still have a bonus, which means that at least one of them will need to be bumped up. Duffy and the Fringe, if one of you chooses to jump into Peasants, good for you. If not, I'm going to roll a dice and kick one of you to the curb. Alrighty then, it is dice time. One of you will stay, one of you will go. Which one will it be? Since I don't have a dice on me, it's just going to be heads or tails. Duffy is heads.
I think it's going to be both.
Actually, it's going to be both because we have Fitmo who's wanted to jump in. There we go, and let's make sure we get rid of those bonuses. There we go. Alrighty then. Oh, no. And someone's jumped out of Kings. Alrighty, we will need one more King. Alrighty then, let's have a look. Ladies and gentlemen, we cannot start without one more king. Can we please get one more king?
There's a few players we got in here now.
There we go. That is one more king. Invisible troll, and I've seen you in king before, I'm fairly sure. All right, let's kick this one off.
Wait. That just means that everyone starts getting spec.
Yep.
That is the only option we have for getting stuff going.
Correct. Sorry, watch behind. Do not want to do it to you, but unfortunately cannot start with players that are... There we go. Let's see if a force start works. And it has. Yeah. Excellent.
Welcome, Commander.
Alrighty then, ladies and gentlemen, let us get ready for this one and hope Twig makes it back sooner or later. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, it is in fact King of the Hill Faction Wars, which means everyone on the outside will be Legion, everyone on the inside will be Armada.
got enough people that we should see some rather interesting pushes at the 10-minute mark.
I hope so.
Seeing some good organization happening.
Unfortunately, we do seem to have one king that may or may not be here. We'll see. There we go. Yep.
I've still got one missing.
Oh, someone's just pulled out of the middle. Okay.
Hmm.
Interesting. There we go. They have spawned in. So they are here. There we go. Excellent, excellent, excellent.
Evening Daily Sparkles, you are correct in saying that we're Aussies.
What? How could you possibly tell? Our accents are incredibly British. Potentially Eastern European. Some might even say Japanese. Just a heads up, I can't see the Twitch chat on our channel. I can only see it on the official. So Tank Tom will have to act as a conduit to get those messages to me so that I can respond to them in an equally serious fashion.
All right, I'm back. Oh my god, I'm dumb.
Please elaborate.
If you ever are stupid enough to put your cables into your main board instead of your graphics card, don't then proceed to switch them during a game to the right one. Now I couldn't open up bar, and I've realized I have to reinstall the driver for the graphics card so that the PC recognizes it again. But we're sorted. We're back online.
Wait, so did you do a fresh install and not install drivers?
No, I had the drivers. It just by unplugging the monitors from my main board and putting them into my graphics card.
That shouldn't do that.
The game would not recognize that I was then back on my graphics card. It was thinking I was still on my main board's inbuilt graphics, so it was looking for it and failing to launch.
Right.
It's fixed now. Just redid the driver.
Well,
yeah, my blonde moment of the day.
But you're a redhead.
I am blonde.
Oh, was I not supposed to tell stream that? My bad.
All right, I'm going to get streams back up and going again. If anyone wants to go on the Reason No Logics, do apologize for that one, but stick around on the official if you're already stuck in there.
Basically, you can get Twig's good camera control or my incredibly zoomy inny outy version.
I'm getting good FPS now. Things are good. Got a nice, good new CPU, so better viewing performance.
Very good, very good. All right, I think we might look at kicking this one off with a forced start now that Twig is here.
Do you want me to do that one?
Yes.
Battle started.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the all-exciting King of the Hill Faction Wars. Faction Wars. Joining us, we do have ourselves Armada in the middle of the map, and we do have Legion around the outside in a lovely 52 versus 7 with a 45% bonus for the players in the middle. So what is King of the Hill? 10-minute no rush time and no offensive structures, no air, and a couple of minor tweaks to a few T2 units just to make it fair for the kings who have no space to build in. and a lot of co-op eco around the map. We'll see whether Legion makes a big difference on this map with those T1.5 mexes that basically anyone can get early on, but also the energy problems that come with them. Joining me in the casting booth, we do have Tank Tom and Twig. What do you reckon for this one? We did have a Legion win upset in the previous game, so what do you reckon for this one?
Why change? I'm sticking with Legion then.
Legion is particularly strong defensively because of those bastions, but I have found that they can be a little... they do struggle a little bit on the offensive sometimes. So looking around the map, we're seeing some pretty good things from a lot of these corners. We want to be seeing co-op so that we can get those T2 labs early, as well as those geos. And if the players are working together to get those, they should be quite strong. We know that this corner in the top left will be quite strong with Platinum Blonde and Chronographer. We are starting to see some shared building on the top right with Zeus on God, who I recognize from previous games, getting into there. But it does look like potentially the bottom right, as per usual, is going to be one of the strongest corners, with Dominus, the Fringe, Small, and Lloyd, all very recognizable faces, and they're backed up by and very, very strong looking Dry Sea, with Duffy and Boomfire working together to make it out of here. It does look like someone's even given Duffy a second comm as well, maybe taken, maybe not. But that's going to lead to a very, very swift expansion. One of the things to bear in mind, the Dry Sea is a bit of a force multiplier. It takes a while to come online, but if the kings don't deal with it, then they have so much space, and the fact that a lot of economy for the peasants in the end game is generated by Aphis, they have the ability to come online when they're needed most. So whether that's with a T3 push towards the mid to late game, or T1 units early game, we'll see exactly how that one goes.
Be interesting to see how this one scales. We have seen, what is it, fusions out there by about 15 minutes before.
Which is, considering they start with 1,000 metal and no mexes, pretty good.
Yes, I expect that corner there is going to be an absolute powerhouse once things get up and rolling.
Commander self-destructed.
Does also look like we're going to have a real mix, a mix of experience when it comes to the kings as well. We do have players that are already working on their defenses at the 3-minute mark. I would highly recommend using your build power and your metal and energy for slightly different things. Something to bear in mind is that these cameras consume 13 energy each consistently, which means that for every single one that you build, for every 2 that you build, you need at least 1 more wind at average wind speeds. So you're going to be burning some of that extra power just to keep them going, not to mention it's metal that could otherwise be invested into the T2 lab, which will help you get more metal to start with. In my opinion, should be basically nothing invested into defenses until 7 minutes.
Yeah, ideally you don't put any defenses up until at least the first fusion and conversion is done.
Bottom right hand corner already has their advanced geo going into the fusion now as well. I do believe they are the only corner right now with the advanced geo, so they're going to be one of the they're certainly going to be one of the super powerhouses. It also is the Dry Sea with the most players, so that will come online as quickly as possible. You can see they're actually generating in the bottom right hand side 22 metal a second already just through conversion, so very nicely done there.
I tell you what, I don't recognise many of these kings up in the middle from previous weeks. There's only a few that I've seen as kings before.
Oh god.
Really interesting.
Alligator's already invested in a gauntlet.
That's
that's early. That's quite early.
However, he's not too far behind the curve. As long as he can get a fusion up, he'll still be okay.
Yep.
We've only got a 40% bonus, have we? Or is
46.
46. The standard.
Just the standard bonus.
Just watching a king with his comm on a move command out into the lava. Because he was, I'm assuming, misclicked some defenses. But managed to catch that before going for a swim.
Oh dear. It does happen though.
Yeah, when
Looking
you're building things
around
up
the
on that
map.
cliff top.
What was that, Tank Tom?
When you're building stuff up on top of the cliffs there, the difference between top of the cliff and down the wall in the lava is not very far away.
Yes, it is not. Certainly have some interesting strats going on up here. I understand Horloff's idea of building his conversion up at the top so that it's not vulnerable, but that space comes at a premium. So my recommendation is always to build your vulnerable economy sort of there-ish. That leaves plenty of space for the other king to do so as well.
Commander, self-destructed.
Alrighty then. Does look like the metal's starting to run dry for this bottom right-hand dry sea, but with so many wind turbines
A lot
up,
of wind.
Commander,
it is going to keep coming in over time. They're starting to get the construction turrets now, so we should start seeing a conversion into T2 reasonably soon. What's the usual income amount that you would expect for a T2 twig?
Yeah, well, on a stingy one, which this one will be because you can detonate your commanders, I'd say around just the 20 mark.
And they
which
nearly
they're
double
easily
that
getting.
now.
Yeah, so
There's
they're
still
going
not
into a
about
non-stingy one. They're going to do one where they can get out probably a couple fusions in prop around the no rush time elapsing, I reckon. With those 4 converters going up, he's now got a T2 that looks like it's been bought from somewhere else.
I'm assuming it's probably come from their.
Oh, that's good. If
powerhouse
you
in
don't have
front
to
of
build the
them.
lab, that's huge.
Yeah,
Because building a lab takes what? How much energy is the T2 lab? 16,000 energy. That 16,000 energy. That 16,000 energy could
more than
be
half of
what
your fusion reactor.
220 metal or thereabouts, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it is when you have nothing. Middle of the map, we are seeing second fusion coming up out of Invisible Troll, so it is going to manage to scale quite nicely. You can go straight to fusion into Aphis, but you do need the build power to do it. Around about 20 to 25 build turret is the 1 minute build time for an Aphis. Is choosing to invest that metal in pinpointers, probably a little early for the pinpointers. The early game usually isn't dominated by that long distance sniping, but at the end of the day, if you have them, you don't need to worry about it later, and you will get those slightly more efficient trades early on. It could be the difference between life and death, but with a minute and 20 seconds to go, King's rather light on defenses in the top right and top left. Fitmo with no defenses whatsoever looks like he's going to be getting 6 beamers, and then on the right hand side a large amount of investment going into a pulsar and a couple of fat boys, which is not the which should actually do somewhat decent, provided that the fat boy doesn't get surrounded too early. There isn't too much in the way of spam clear, but there isn't too much in the way of spam coming, so I do think the lack of defenses might not actually be too much of a problem for the Kings, because there are no major forces built up around the map.
Very interesting build out of Cobalt Moon. Has a lot of build power, a lot of eco. That's going to be well within reach of any spiders that come out over this hill. No defenses there, meaning
Look, there's enough wind to act as a barrier to eat most of the shots.
I
So
mean-
the first volley won't pop the critical bits.
Yeah, but I think they'll get 2 volleys off minimum.
This is going to be interesting. Like, I think the Kings are in a pretty average position compared to usual. But what we do usually see out of the
However-
peasants, we usually see catapults take out a lot of the eco, and that's not going to happen this game because they've been turned off. There's 10 minutes.
Wait, catapults have been turned off? Oh yeah, they have too, haven't they? Because
there's no
the
vortex,
outside of the map is Legion. But does fire penetrate shields?
I'm sure we will find out, but there is a real lack of units pushing in. We mentioned that the
Yes.
defenses were light on, but the units pushing are equally lacking.
And unfortunately for the peasants, the lane that is going to be pushed the hardest by T1 units is also the one with the most defenses. So that's going to be a rough hold.
To work, aren't they?
interestingly going for a complete wall off as well. So
There you go. There's those spiders. The infestors
straight
are
away.
Yep.
in there.
Straight
just need to
away.
Hit that conversion. And big problem.
Yeah, hit the conversion and the build power will go pop. Nice
Oh,
use of
go
the
for the
build power to
conversion.
eat them. That is going
Oh,
to save
wow.
that base.
Wow. Always go for the conversion. You just need to hit it twice, I think, with those units, and it's it'll take out all the build power with it.
Yep.
Yuck.
It is it's one of those
That was a
ones.
big waste.
Still, it did
gonna
get in,
see
it did
another
get conversion, it did get wind. They easily paid for themselves, but it could have been a much more devastating attack. Does look like we're seeing some belchers trying to get some flames on the high ground, but that angle of fire is hitting the wall, so they're not ideal for that. Does look like they're also going to be walking into defensive range as well, so they're going to take some good hits there. Top side of the map was light on defenses, now seems to be somewhat okay because of the rattlesnakes that have been built inside of Hot Potato's base. Not a bad call there, and the beamers did manage to get up as well as a pulsar. So mid-ground conceded to the peasants for the time being, and King's gonna have to play a defensive one, but they do have the ability to eco-scale incredibly hard, incredibly early if the peasants don't try to push in, which is one of the things that I would certainly be considering.
I've got round 2 over here. Is there going to be better? Oh, actually, these guys, do they outrange a commander? They have the same range as a commander. 300. And I like what he's doing here. Rob the Madman. He's going to do a surround, so I don't think this is getting stopped. Not at all.
Infestor's doing a surprisingly good amount of damage here. Looks like they are now in that second position. And they are moving around to grab the conversion, which is definitely the right call here. That conversion is so weak for it. So yeah, there we go. Total annihilation right there, and that's going to set back. That's going to set it back Cobalt Moon very quickly. And it does look like they might possibly. No, they're not going to get out. It'd be crazy if they did get out.
3 of them are going to get out.
The nice thing about infestors, you can just use infestors to build infestors. So you can just get if you can purchase yourself on the wall, you can just build an infinite army of them. So nicely done there.
I'm curious, do you need flat ground to build them?
That's yeah, you do, don't you? Still,
No,
I reckon
absolutely.
they.
No.
Look, you can.
They look like
Yeah,
they can
build
build
them
on
on
the
the wall.
walls.
Well,
Yeah,
they
you can
are
build them
on
on
the
the wall.
walls, but they're not building the units on the walls. They're building the units
Yeah, I
on
know,
the
but
ground.
I'm saying they can build them on the walls.
Oh, can they?
Yeah, it looks
Yeah.
like it. Just selecting them.
Oh my god, yes you can. That's awesome. Okay, I'm officially
Terrifying.
sold on Legion. We should have we need Legion to become competitive like ASAP so that we see more shenanigans. We like shenanigans.
Another push again of more infestors, but these welders are going to clean them up very easily. Having
Does
said
get the
that,
fusion though.
Wow. Next one is at 26%. Oh wow, it is because there's an arquebus sitting up there on the hill and they hadn't seen it. He just killed the
Aphis as well. That's
Yeah.
half built, so that's 4,500 metal down the drain.
Wow, nicely
Oof.
done.
Oof,
Well
oof,
done to
oof.
Mr. Notek. Not a cake.
Where do we think the next push is going to come from? It looks like the peasants are largely occupying that no man's land middle tier at the moment. The kings are trying to push out, but not having a whole lot of success.
One of the things which is interesting is they still have the winning combo, the thing which has done the most damage in the last couple of weeks, which is the Razorback and the somebody help me. Vanguard, thank you. But they just have not been able to bring the economy to bear to send that out early enough, and with the control level that the peasants have, it's going to be hard to get that in a critical mass to punch out, especially since all of these ramps are reasonably well defended as well. We're seeing things like mines, we're seeing Chimera pop-ups which actually do a surprising amount of damage to Razorbacks, Eviscerator pop-up cannons, so we're going to see they're going to take a lot of damage coming out. Does look like another wave of infestors trying to make their way into the middle. They're walking between a couple of beamers
Up the ramp,
and
they're
into
in.
a comm, but
If you're
No.
in punch deep, you're already dead. Go
The
as hard as you
corpses
possibly
blocked
can.
them. That would have
If
been
you
great.
can get next to converters, if something's shooting at you, it'll blow up their own stuff just as easily as it blows up yours. So things like rattlesnakes, whilst really useful, will also cause a whole bunch of collateral damage if you can get anything next to their echo.
Does
On
look like
top right.
frontal assault in the top left, trying to make their way in. These Styres doing a really good job of punching through the beamers. I didn't actually realize how effective Styres were against the beamers. If they can concentrate fire on that comm, they might actually be able to get the comm.
That'll blow that entire opening.
Does not look
Not
like it
quite
though.
gonna get it. However, the fact that they managed to punch the middle is impressive. Normally you go for right on the edges of these, just so that you don't have to punch through all of the defenses.
You know what's crazy is the biggest eco for the peasants isn't even on the green stuff. It's down in the dry sea.
4 apers.
Once those
Oh god.
for that's gonna
Look, this is something which you should very much so be aware of. If the players here in the corners, if they all go massively offensive and allow the dry seas to do things like this, the dry seas can become the end game for the
you're
peasants.
gonna see. Yeah, that's T3 before 20 minutes coming out of that dry sea.
Exactly. Also, we're getting a huge number of infestors in this top left-hand side. I cannot wait. I love the fact the infestor can build more infestors and that people are using them. That is rather excellent.
Yeah, the way to win these maps is more units. Defenses are great, but they're more early warning systems. Defenses will not keep your base alive. The only way to do that is to basically be on the offensive and have the front line be not at your doorstep.
Things like these ramps, they work as defensive positions because the kings have to push through them and you have multiple players building defenses. However, if it's something like trying to defend between bases around the outside after someone's broken through, defenses are effectively pointless because you're fighting the full might of a plus 45 king, one person at a time. Also, top left eco, Rosie matching the bottom right as well. Hot damn. That's a lot of
Yeah, that
APHIS.
is- Yeah,
Looking just above our hot potatoes base, you can see there, I do appreciate all the players in games reminding other players not to build offensive structures that can reach eco, and that just getting reflamed. I prefer you guys keep the metal for other things, because the stuff will disappear.
Yes,
Dun, dun,
because we have the
dun.
powers now, the stuff does disappear very, very quickly. At least most of the time, when we know about it.
It's looking very nasty on the left, where
good use of
Cobalt
walls
been...
to stop these infestors coming up the hill
Yeah.
here, and D-guns.
So you're wondering
That
what the
was a
counterplay
lot.
is to infestors? The answer is walls and a comm near where they have to come through.
Wow, that was
P1
a lot
walls
that
will
just
stop
disappeared.
P2 units. P2 walls will stop P3 units from coming up over the walls.
Tigers drive over walls, don't they? Like T1
Yeah,
walls?
but tigers don't drive over cliffs.
Yeah, that's true. We're talking specifically about spider units.
We have another infestor push. Infestors are the name of the game.
Loving
today
it.
On the bottom right.
Yeah,
Absolutely loving it. And this time, no walls to defend and only a couple of vanguards. So these guys are going to get some value add right here.
Vanguard are not necessarily defensive when the units are in your base. That
Yeah,
just
I
means that you
don't
park the unit next to the thing you want to die.
I don't love defensive vanguards. They are usually more of a problem than they are a solution.
Oh wow, but that one pulsar just getting 3 in one shot. As soon as they're lined up one behind the other, it's a bullet going through each of their skulls.
Giant pulse lasers. Fat Boy's
wow.
coming to help clean things up as well.
Vanguard's doing more damage than the actual infestors did.
Oh, they Fat Boys did a lot there as well. You can see all those big explosions. Those are self-damage shots. But at the end of the day, you defend with what you've got and you do your best. Doesn't look like the Kings are having a lot of success breaking out. They've A small
little
attack's
bit of
come
damage
out
on
over
this
on this bottom left-hand
left
side and
side.
grab the conversion, but it has been cleaned up, so nothing too crazy. Actually, one spider managing
build
to
there,
break
so that-
through.
Not all of the conversion went pop at once. They'd sort of staggered in chunks. So they lost a couple of chunks, but not all of it.
You were saying?
Although if you build them too close, they do tend to chain react. I believe it's 2 squares is the distance you need for conversion, not to chain react. This bottom right side again. Festus coming up over the edge. You probably need more. Now that they know that you're coming. They
Does
tend to
seem
put
like they have
defenses.
some defenses. The fat boys are actually quite good at defending while the infestors are on the wall.
As long as they're shooting out, they're great. As soon as they start shooting in, that's when you get problems.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a soul Invictus from the peasants.
Ooh,
It's a
hands
coming.
off to humanity from Duffy. Another one being built as well. They're coming up about every minute and a half ish on that eco.
That is going, provided they don't get taken out by the pulsars, that is going to do a lot of damage very, very quickly. Soul Invictus, easily one of the most damage efficient end game units, because the lasers stop targeting the moment that they're finished killing something and move on to the next thing. None of that DPS is wasted. However, standing it in direct line of fire of Vanguards probably won't do it any favors.
I do love what Invisible Troll's done. He's gone around with T2 walls and put them around all the pulsars and built the pulsars, so every lane now has pulsars. Sorry, 2 of the 3 lanes have pulsars with T2 walls around them, and they're doing quite a bit to keep the commanders and pretty much anything big back. Got a big push of Razorbacks now on the north. Really big push.
T3 with T1 in front of it.
They're very lucky that there's no commanders around here, but that is Bastion almost taking one out just in one shot.
Alrighty then, that attack looks like it's petering out, but the top side, it does look like the Kings are getting their big push on right here. Razorback Fury, the question is, where are they going to go? Because there was some indecision there, but it does look like they're heading to this top right hand side. Is going to start making things fall rather quickly. This is a lot of firepower all at once, so that is an entire wing just instant cleared, and we'll see where they're headed. It does look like they are going to be heading out to the top left hand side. Is a T3 lab coming on to defend this one, as well as some T1 defenses being built, but oh no, they're not going the right way.
Yeah, if they all just went to the top left, they would maybe have a chance at keeping
Maybe they
Rosie
would
at bay.
certainly kill it unless they run into comms.
You spread them out and commit to a direction. If
Correct.
they can't all be hit,
Destroyed.
ideally your spacing's wide enough that they can't be hit with D-guns, or you only lose one put and then to each D-gun rather than having them grouped up so that you lose chunk. However, they are going to get out and do some work.
Yes, I'm really interested to see whether or not they make it into this corner, because this corner is super vulnerable. Currently building Daedalus, I think. Oh no, Carries. And we do
like
have some
sending
cacophonies
ones.
being built, but this just isn't a lot of defenses. Rosie's comm also not cloaked, which means that that was the biggest chance for it to go down, and it unfortunately isn't.
Are they going to commit? Are they going to
Commit, just commit. All you have to do is commit. And this is one of the biggest corners that's going to go down. Just push and push and push. Once units are out and about on the map, they are dead.
Once you get out into that dry sea, they deep.
Oh
There's
no,
unlikely
and
to
that's
be
all the build
defenses out
power
there.
down as well. Just keep
Are they going to
pushing.
get the APHIS?
They're gonna
Invisible
get the
Troll knows
APHIS.
What they're doing. They are so getting the APHIS.
They're so
It's
going to get
be
the
a target
APHIS. All they
fire.
have to do is target fire one APHIS, and they'll get it. Unfortunately, blocking each other's line of sights, targeting different APHIS, but I think they're going to get it anyway. When you have this much firepower. No!
That hurts.
I mean, look, to be honest, I was really looking forward to the explosion, and this is why you need to defend your dry seas.
Yikes.
Yep.
can't help but feel that the best response there probably would have been to put down a bunch of pork with that amount of build power and that part of it, that much eco.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
a couple cons there. Just drop down some T2 pork.
Invis your comms and just drop down as much defense as you can in that situation, because normally we would say the exact opposite, but the way that build power was structured, only a fraction of it was hitting that T3 lab. And that was, if more had been able to hit that T3 lab, if there'd been the ability to reclaim the APHIS for that additional metal and get the units up, that could have been saved. But if the com had been invisible and grabbed a couple of those Razorbacks, it actually could have been defended as well. So it's definitely a tough one, but well played out of the Kings. They randomly picked the correct corner to push.
I'm sad to see the first Sol Invictus wreckage on the ground outside of the southern ramp, but there is a second one there now, about to join it.
Yep.
This many pulses up. Wow, are pulses the way to win this game as Kings?
I wouldn't say they're the way to win, because they're more of a delaying tactic. You can eventually punch through pulsars with a lot. Like, there are things which punch through pulsars.
1400 range. What is the range of the big boys? Is it the Myrmidon or something?
Let's have a quick
disabled.
look. Oh, it is
no,
too.
It's disabled.
That's interesting.
Why is that disabled?
One of them would be
as
disabled
long-range
because it has
artillery.
air. I don't know why the other one's disabled. Oh, because LRPCs are disabled.
Yeah,
So-
why is the Vanguard disabled then?
The
What's a
Vanguard's not
Vanguard?
an LRPC.
Yeah, that's a mobile defensive. Yeah, I didn't realize it was coded that way.
Yep. So it's a building, ladies and gentlemen. Does look like the defenses slowly but surely falling in this middle side of the map. Only one pulsar left actually in the middle of the map. Razorback's doing a great job of clearing out the chaff, but there does look to be another large push heading on in. Daedalus trying to get damage done. Second Sol Invictus. Each one of these Sol Invictus, even if they only take one pulsar at a time, will still manage to do a lot of damage up here.
There's
They're
a
also
lot
going to
of
start
pressure on this
melting.
bottom side, and it just keeps on building. Every tower that goes down, as you were saying, means that there's that little bit less to hold the next one out.
And there we go, that's one more pulsar down. Daedalus getting shots onto the Razorbacks. Razorbacks doing a really good job of defending. One of the things that the Sol Invictus could do is just ram itself into a corner where it can't be seen by those pulsars and just try and keep getting damage onto things. But at the end of the day, there's more of them coming, and the defenses are struggling to hold. And it's not like a lot of the other players can get in and really assist, because the rest of the map is pushing nice and hard as well. Oh, it does look like we're about to see a comm explosion on the left-hand side. Comm getting too close to the edge while Sol Invictus was walking past. And now he does have vision into the fusions.
What the hell? The Sol Invictus is that tall.
The
it
Sol
can
Invictus
see-
is that tall.
That comm, if that Humanity Glorious goes back to that point there, he can see straight into the fusions. Unfortunately,
Didn't notice.
He kept walking. The comm explosion has lowered the cliff to the point that you can kill that eco. So that is a way to take out a king.
Oh wow!
Unfortunately, yeah, Sol Invictus is just walking in.
And that's in range too.
That is a terrifying thing to know, that because of the positioning of the cannons, it is well and truly capable of taking out the high. It is well and truly capable of firing over that wall. That is excellent. That is rather excellent. And it does look like the peasants have worked that out as well. So they are trying to get the Sol Invictus back into position, but the Titan defending nicely. The Kings are doing a really good job on defense, but wow, I've just seen Hot Potato's defensive array. So we have 9 of the Rattlesnakes, and then we also have 27 Vanguards all pumping out long-range shots, and they're actually managing to kill spam. There's that much long range.
He's not far from blotting out the sun with that rain that's falling down off that cliff face.
I mean, what we need to do, we need a mod that turns them into arrows. Big push coming from the Kings on this left-hand side. Double Titan backed up by 8 Razorbacks. This should actually be able to do a decent amount of damage. The Sol Invictus is going to do a nice chunk to these units, but they should be able to get in and potentially destroy at least one of these spam setups, which does have the attached build power and fusions if they go the right way, but it does not look like it because of a D-gun. And this is the all importance of comms. When you are playing as the peasants, keeping comms invisible near these entrances can be the difference between a push and it can be the difference between a successful push or a successful hold. So nicely done out of the peasants. One Razorback has managed to get into the back of this area though, and there's nothing here to stop it. So as long as it stays out of range of that Sol Invictus, it is going to punch straight through into this Aphis economy. That is very unfortunate for Mr. Nodakake. Probably just massacred the way that that's spelt, but anyway.
That's what my daughter says when she has to do poo-poos. Kake.
But that rate... Oh god, Razorback, no. Go, kill the Aphis. There we go. Big explosion. Despite the overwhelming force the peasants have been applying to the kings, still managing to get out and do a damage. That's another wing gone. That's 3 wings cleared by the kings, despite the peasants being in a full-on assault mode. Economy is currently sitting at 7,000 for the peasants and 2,000 for the kings, but yet the kings have managed to clear 3 wings in the last couple of minutes.
One thing that the peasants are doing is throwing a lot of units against defenses.
Yes.
Rather than massing them and then pushing as an overwhelming wave, they're sort of trickling units in, and because the kings have bulked up rather significantly, there's not much that's going to get through without an overwhelming force that's relatively well structured to be able to have some long range T3 to take out those defenses with enough T1 to eat as many shots as possible and just force their way through any gap which might open up.
So one of the things that usually happens at this stage for the peasants is that the peasants have sieging units. They have things like catapults, they have things like vanguards. Because this is faction wars, they don't. It is only the kings that have long-range mobile units, because we didn't even realize that turning off some of the settings we have would turn off any of the units. So any long-range option the kings have is just not available. Sorry, the peasants have is just not available. So the typical tactics of wearing down the kings just isn't going to work here. So the reality is that the metal spend needs to slow down in favor of some sort of overwhelming force, as you said, Tom. The T1 is basically not going to make it through because there is just too much here, too much Razorback, too much Vanguard. So the answer is to use things like Sol Invictus as T1 spam. That is the answer, right?
Look, that will get the job done. They can react.
Not really. They do a little bit, but just send them in groups. And the reality is with 7,400 metal income and a Sol Invictus costing 23,000, that means that you can build a Sol Invictus every 3 seconds or so if everyone on the map works together. That means after a minute you could have 30 Sol Invictus. Sorry, you could have 20 Sol Invictus. That means after 5 minutes you could have 100 Sol Invictus, and I don't think the kings can kill you in 5 minutes.
No. And the thing
Not when
is,
you have
as long
100
as you-
Sol Invictus.
Yeah, you just park them on the middle tier so that if they do push out, they die to the Sol Invictus.
Exactly.
And when you have enough of them, you just charge them in.
Exactly. Oh, it
Kings
looks
are
like...
doing it
hold on.
Did they restore that land that was lowered by the comm detonating? I think they did, so now that option to... Yeah, that option to shoot through the hills is gone.
That is a good way of dealing with that, honestly. Because you don't want Sol Invictus to...
Commander destroyed.
No, be able to see it from the top.
you don't want the units to be able to do that. It was pretty interesting, though. And look, if the peasants can lower the wall and shoot over with a Sol Invictus. That'd be awesome. Question is, could you do that with things like decoy D-guns?
I do love
I
how at
wanna
the top
say
left,
yes.
Rosie gave up just restoring the land, and there was one advanced fusion reactor that had not died, and restoring that.
I mean, look, you may as well try and get back into it that way. If no one else is going to send you things, then that's definitely a method of doing it.
The peasants will need to make sure that they can cut off any forces that the kings are sending out. Because whilst they now have largely unit production up and running, the fact that the kings were able to get as much killed as they could, or as they have so far, was that there wasn't many responses coming out.
Commander destroyed.
What's that?
Calm out of position.
You know, even though it says that the peasants are heaps far ahead in the economy, 10% of that 9k is down on the bottom right, just out of Duffy's eco, so that is not fully online yet. There's the odd Sol Invictus coming out. But I think the peasants still not quite fully realising their full potential.
I like how you
Sol
say
Invictus-
not fully online, and he's got the 26 APHIS.
Yeah. No, what I'm saying is, like, once he stops building that, stops building eco and goes solely into units, there'll be an absolute insane line coming out of the, this corner. Selecting the map though, there are 38 Sol Invictus. I'd love to see them grouped up in one position. That would be hard to stop.
That would be really hard to stop. Offensive push attempted on this right-hand side. Unfortunately, the Titan front line, despite being 3 Titans thick, did not last particularly long, which means that the vanguards behind lasted even less time. We do have a Titan force building up on the bottom left-hand side, but it is not a. But I don't think that there's quite enough, considering that that is where the Sol Invictus are starting to build up. Okay.
Commander destroyed.
Good to see some res bots getting out and about, reclaiming. What are they? Reviving units. For those players that may not necessarily have the biggest ecos, getting units back up and in the fight is never a bad idea.
A lot of Titans now pushing out on the south there. You can really see Fitmo's got quite the eco in a somewhat safe position. With the left-hand geo going down earlier, you know, there's not too much eco coming from there. I do like to see that the bottom left dry sea has plenty of units coming out, and quite a huge eco down there as well. We do have Matty Sign Sync with about 12, 13 APHIS coming online now, going into full Sol Invictus production. The Sol Invictus with those 4 lasers really do quite well against the spam, as well as obviously the bigger units.
One of the issues I think we currently have with the updated things, I can no longer kick ban someone.
Interesting. Are you a boss?
I am a
Can't
boss.
actually-
You are
actually
now a
see the
boss
lobby
as
properly.
well.
You can message me just to see who
There
to,
we go.
Oh, that'll be interesting. Server restart coming soon.
Does look like we have the Sol Invictus trying to push in this bottom left-hand side, but a heroic comm as well as all of those beamers, all of those pulsars just defending against it. Unfortunately, I don't think that's the side of attack, and this is one of the things which is quite hard for the peasants in this position. Not having the access to those long-range units is certainly making this rather hard and rather locked in, I guess you could say. Very difficult for anyone to make any progress here.
I hadn't expected that the Legion would struggle to fight up
With
the
no
hill and
long-range
over the
options,
cliffs.
they can't deal with the range that the rest of the
Not having a
armada
T3
has.
artillery unit to break the siege
Yeah.
definitely makes it rough.
So the question is, what do the peasants do to win this? What do the kings do to win this? Because the economy from the kings is sort of capping out at around about 3,000 based on the space. The peasants just keep scaling. They're now up to 11,000. One of the things that they really need to look at doing is just putting pressure on at all angles so that no one can stop the so that there's no one that can concentrate in more than one place at a time. And it does look like to an extent that is happening. We have Sol Invictus coming around on the left-hand side, making their way into Fitmo's secondary base. Razorback's trying to stop. Wow, Razorback's actually managing to stop it. I guess those were super low health. The Razorbacks do have decent DPS though, but it shouldn't be enough to stop a lot of Sol Invictus. Do have some rezzed units in the back coming to help. Does look like we have more Sol Invictus making their way down as well. Hopefully this will be enough to clean this area up. Does look like beaming and more beaming coming in on this bottom left hand side as we have two waves of Sol Invictus trying to punch their way through. Unfortunately hitting at slightly different times, one using a fight command, one using a move command, and it does mean that the pulsars are getting a lot of damage on. Trying to concentrate onto that onto the there we go, onto the comm does get a couple of D-guns on, but not enough to stop the Sol Invictus, and it does look like this move is just going to keep punching through, having a bit of trouble hitting those pulsars in the high ground, but there's so much Sol Invictus here that they are starting to move through anyway. And it does look like the first bit of economic damage has been done to the kings in quite some time. And even with all of this pulsar defense, just the sheer number of Sol Invictus making their way up. Titan doing a good job of body blocking, high ground pulsars as well, trying to keep this safe, but the second wave has just started to arrive now, and all they have to do is lock onto some of these APHIS, and because of the densely packed nature here, this should start to a chain reaction. There we go, first one down, and that's an entire wave. That's all the conversion, and that's a third of the king's base wrecked by one APHIS explosion. Very nice.
Whoa.
And that leaves significantly less pulsar to deal with the incoming tide. Not none, just less.
And this is why we say that defenses don't win games. Units are what will win games, because defenses can't hit bases. Units, get enough of them, anything's possible.
And that does drop
Evil,
the...
Evil Snowball, how many Sol Invictuses do we want? Yes.
Yeah. Yes is the correct answer.
Cobalt Moon going to probably get some D-guns off here. All in vain though. Taking out 3 or 4 there. One Sol locking onto that APHIS, and that's going to be their economy going down for the second time. It's well done not to leave the first time round.
One of the things I'm really impressed with is how well Cobalt Moon got back into the game after that early harass from the from all of the spiders. That is an impressively resilient play style, because it is hard to come back from your base being completely wiped. But it does look like this has turned into a cleanup operation. One comm left. The question is, which one is it? Because There are currently 35 decoys hiding away, but the Sol Invictus are now starting to get into that final economy. They are still going to have to punch through what is a 1.5 million rattlesnakes and pulsars, but the reality is without the power provided by the Aphis, the pulsars won't be able to fire, so it's just going to be the rattlesnakes, and the rattlesnakes not so particularly strong against the Sol Invictus. A couple of those decoy comms going down. Oh no, actually all of them surviving that, so well done eco comms, but that is a self-D by Hot Potato, who knows that the writing is on the wall and wants to get into the next game, so we do appreciate that one. Are we going to see any economy detonations? Yes, we are. Com going down over there, but it doesn't take out the Aphis, so unfortunately I don't think we're going to see all of the peasant economy going down. But very nicely done out of the peasants. You had a rough game with no long-range siege, but you did well. Let's get ourselves set up in the next one. We'll have a quick look at those stats as well. I am interested to see what the metal produced was. Plenty of those peasants riding the king's wave. That's scary as hell. Damage wise, look at the damage out of the kings, trading as efficiently as they possibly could, but the reality is that the peasants were just able to deal the damage to the buildings. All right, let's get ourselves ready for the next one. Like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff.
Right, Tom. Cortex as kings. Did we just crash?
Yes, apologies. We're just going to
Beyond.
log in again. And then we'll be back with you. While we're doing that, let's have a quick chat. Let's have a quick look in chat, because I did notice a couple of things. Duquette, nice to see you joining us. This game is Beyond All Reason. It is free. So if you're just starting to find it and get interested in it, then you can just download it directly from the Beyond All Reason website. It is a RTS with a focus around large games like 16v16. On a Sunday, we open it up to a larger lobby where we do King of the Hill, which is a special event that has been sanctioned by the developers, which we are very grateful for. Gives us an opportunity to use the game in a way that it is less used for. There are also large events that happen every now and then, particularly when they meet Discord follower goals, which allow for 100 versus 100 style games because the engine is quite robust. While we're just getting it set back up again, what else do we have in there? Why is it called a Sol Invictus if there are multiple of them? Good question though. Soul in this case is not soul as in an individual. It's soul as in solar object or sun. So it has the power of the sun condensed down into lasers, which is one of the reasons we like it. It is hard not to like any sort of walker with a giant shoulder-mounted laser cannon. If you're a fan of any other sort of fictional universe, you will probably have some comparisons you can draw, and you know as well as I do that they are awesome.
Do we have anyone online currently that can expand a lobby for us?
Good
No,
question.
The problem, I'm trying to make that happen in the background. That's why my screen is not doing a lot paperable.
Exactly, that's why you have the starting screen currently, because we are in the middle of a lobby stuff. How many souls do you want? Evil Snowball? Yes. Yes, that's how many we want.
I suppose the other question is, do we just do another small or something?
There's a lot of people that are going to be in the waiting queue.
That is true. We'll give it a few minutes to see what happens. We may be able to get an expanded lobby or not. Our powers allow us to make some... allow us to do a couple of things in-game, which is very useful. I was able to clear up quite a few long-range things before they became a problem. But they also are limited in what we can do lobby-wise, so we still don't have any power to make changes to lobbies. At least not that we're aware of. Anything in the in our Twitch chat, Tank Tom?
What am I looking at?
Thanks for the follow to Florin. Florin Chris, I think it was.
There was a bit of chatter, particularly about when those Razorbacks went up to the top left corner and started melting bases and things. As my daughter says, the sun is a deadly laser.
The sun is a deadly laser. Oh man, I want to watch that right now, but I can't because I'm on stream and I don't want to like get it demonetized or copyright or something along those lines. But man, if you haven't seen that, that's just, it couldn't have been said better.
And you're welcome, Oodles. We're happy to host these each week. It's great to see the community turn out in force every time. We were not expecting this to become as successful as it has.
We do have Flow online now. I think they're going to get us a lobby going.
Hey, can we
Just
go
host
on
one
land?
and we'll jump in there.
Why? The sun is a
Bob?
deadly laser. Hey.
Alrighty then, it looks like we might be getting underway soon, potentially.
What's interesting is I can't see myself in this.
I cannot either.
How come you guys get to be green? I
Um,
would be green.
look, bar devs, Twig is unhappy about us being green. Can I be purple?
Purple for myself, actually.
No, you can be
Green
blue.
can be.
Tom can be yellow. It'll be great.
Well, green is Tom's all reason, no logic color anyway.
Oh yeah,
That was the way.
I forgot because we handed out yellow trophy things or gold trophy things. All right, it looks like we're getting it back, somewhat back underway, which is excellent.
Now, is it just me? I can only see about 8 people in the lobby.
Yeah, I
The
might.
lobby was locked,
Respect.
so
Ah, that makes sense.
I'm
getting
just gonna
Uh.
quickly. I'm just gonna restart my game just for the sake of things. That looks better. Now I can see myself and others.
Okay, thank you very much, Flo.
Yes,
going
thank
in.
you, Flo. And for those of you that did just see that on stream, yes, I can make myself a boss in a lobby where I'm not a boss.
that's impressive that you can do it in here now, because that wasn't something we could previously do.
I just jumped into the lobby and then gave myself boss and then jumped back out.
Huh. I kind of assumed with it being an event we wouldn't be able to, but
Nah.
good to know.
Boss powers. Twig probably can't though because he doesn't have a green name.
Now the question is it worth me rejoining so I can see my specs? Would be fine. What are we looking at? 45s?
Yeah, I'm going to put Cortex as the kings, even though I just pressed Armada. I'll change that up. There we go.
And then I guess it will be Armada as the peasants.
That's it. I think Douchey Bag said he wants to be king in this one. Is that correct? I sent that
Oh,
message.
sorry,
Yep.
I'll be back in just a sec.
Okay, one more king.
That's fine. I do not know who the last one in was.
Right question. I'm just going to pick you there.
One,
Someone
two,
decided
three,
to make a
four,
T3.
five,
It's not going to last long.
7.
How's our OS looking for the peasants? We're up to 54. They're all reasonably higher. We'll go Dominus. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 with Dominus. And then we're going to go... Is anyone else with anyone? Let us know in the in-game chat. Right, Twig and Capitals. Is anyone else that's a king in there with another king in Discord? And by the way, on that, there is our Discord. Link in all of our videos. I'm sure it'll get posted again shortly. If you want to talk with your teammates, get on that Commie Eco, coordinate your units, jump in one of our channels.
Two, three, four, five, six, 7, 8. We have 9 with bonuses now. 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yep, that is our team.
All right.
Yeah.
Give a sec for those that are still loading the game, downloading the map. Hot tip, pre-download before you join. Hot tip, like and subscribe on the YouTube.
Oh, yeah, you
Hit that follow button on the official or the All Reason No Logic channels, whichever one you're watching at the moment. I get comments there about it being slow. I reckon maybe the Aussie server was a little bit slower on the last one. Hopefully we'll get a better one this time. It'd be good to be able to reserve the best server for these games, but unfortunately we can't. We just try and fluke it. One of the kings doesn't have a bonus. Does that mean that somebody else jumped out?
That is what I'm assuming. But I can't see anyone with one, so we are good.
Cool.
And because people aren't ready, we'll do a final ring. Then we start specking people. Let us get underway.
Very good. We'll leave that one to you. I will just ask in-game chat, did we not like the quick start last week? I did, personally did. We just weren't going to try it off this week because we had...
I am going to rejoin the lobby because it says that I am trying to play.
Interesting.
Back in a second.
I wonder if that reset of the lobbies buggered us up a little bit. We'll just wait for Tank Tom to get back. But yes, because we're trying out Legion versus Armada versus Cortex faction wars tonight. We will go back to testing random things in future weeks.
Can you see me in the lobby now, Tweet?
I cannot.
I am going to restart bar, so I will be back in a second.
What is going on?
Just a few game issues, I think, from the restart. We've had a few people having to restart the game.
Yep.
I'm actually wondering I might do it myself because you did it. Tom's
I did
doing
it
now.
and it helped.
Yeah, I'm going to do it myself as well.
It says that I wasn't ready, despite the fact that I should have been in.
Spec.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, it's just one of those ones where easiest way to deal with it is just to restart the game anytime something like that happens.
If anyone else is having issues, now is the time to quickly restart. We will hold the lobby for 1 minute.
And 6 seconds.
Okay, we're back. Can we boss ourselves?
Yes,
Can
I
Prey
can.
boss us? You can boss... I can't boss myself. I swear.
Ah,
They gave the important things to the important people, obviously. Let me re-add those bonuses. We should be good to get underway here in about 30 seconds. Check these.
also, just due to the technical issues, this will probably be the last game of the night.
I might stay for one more, seeing how things are going. So we're just going to raid over to the All Reason No Logic channel.
No worries.
It's been 1 minute and 6 seconds.
All right, let's kick this one off.
Tom can do the honors.
Everyone is almost ready. Should be. I am not seeing those players in here, so that means that we have to kick ban them, doesn't it?
It does.
Unfortunately. I'll do Light Wolf.
So,
That did not work. They're asked why kick ban? Can't start the
It should
game
just
as
be
it
kick, not
recognises
kick ban, but
everything.
anyway.
whoops.
For anyone wondering, it is only a 15-minute, so it won't actually make any real effect.
No, they can come back in for the next game.
It's just because they're not showing up in the lobby.
There you go. I did kick Light Wolf and that didn't work. I think you do have to kick ban.
Yeah.
Let me try that. Because they're not showing up in the lobby, it won't let us start with it confused as to whether they're here or not.
There we go. All right, let's see if we can
Yep.
start now.
Unfortunately, it's only the kick ban that works.
Wenry is unsynced. Sorry, Wenry.
And we spawn back there. Ah, who's that? I'm not. Are they in the list?
Let's
No,
try
can't
again.
see them. Real bot.
I am not seeing a real bot, so that's. Hmm.
There we go.
There we go.
Lobby sim, ladies and gentlemen, but it is solved.
Welcome, Commander.
All right. So, for those of you looking at the screen, you can actually see that there is a redded out section. So we do appreciate the that getting it drawn in.
That would be Psycho Pew Pew, I believe.
Yep. Question is, does it show up for everyone or just his team?
Only his team. So when he's a peasant, which is most of the time, that helps. Right now, he's telling his team not to spawn where they need to spawn.
See, on the screen we can see it. That's at least partially useful.
Now, if this one does go a bit slow, next week we'll host on AU. Oh, sorry, EU.
Yep. Getting the lobby
Part
up
of
and running was just the priority.
And yeah, unless we can reserve the better EU servers, it really slows down for us as casters. And already, even in the AU server where we are based, we still get. We're not prioritized as spectators, it prioritizes all the players, so we'll get the catching up message before anyone else. I even got it last game, even though my CPU didn't clock over 15% and my GPU was hardly higher than that. Actually, no, my GPU, that's meant to run
Did it hit
high.
Did it max a single corridor?
The CPU? This game runs off of a single core only.
It does run off of multiple, but it absolutely
The
hammers
logic.
one.
The logic runs off of a single core, so that's every
that's
instruction for every unit.
Yeah, that's the bit that bottlenecks it.
Yeah. Okay. There is one. Emre. Emre, all the way at the top of that list. Still not selected a position yet.
And for those of you wondering, yes, it is Faction Wars, which is why there is only one faction available to each side. Question is, what is going to be better for this, Vanguards or Catapults? Razorbacks or Sheathers? Sheldons or Hounds? Blitzers or Incisors? You'll have to show us.
What's going to be the play? I reckon it's going to be Demons for the Kings.
Yeah. Demons and
Demons
Kargis
versus
are
Razorback.
ludicrously powerful when paired together.
Versus the Vanguard with the Razorback in front.
Yep. Alright, we're going to do
Okay.
a force start shortly.
It's going to be you, Tom, that does it, so we don't double up. Just go for it now. There's only one player that doesn't look like they're loading in, and it just means that we're going to get to test out our superpowers.
Battle started.
Good evening and welcome everybody to King of the Hill on the Raptor Crater. Joining me in the casting booth is Twig and Tank Tom as we bring 67 peasants up against 9 kings in faction wars. This time we have ourselves Cortex in the middle of the map and Armada on the outside of the map, which is going to be a little bit different to the previous one where we discovered that Legion, with the settings we currently have, do not have access to long-range units, so this should be a little bit fairer for both teams. One of the big things... Oh dear, it does look like Emre has started in the middle of the map. That's not ideal.
I'm just going to keep wrecking the units as I build them.
Oh dear, that's not where that should be. That's alright, ladies and gentlemen.
We are happy for him to walk outside and get himself set up.
Anyway, back to it. So, King of the Hill, we have a 10-minute no-rush timer, no offensive structures to be used, stay outside of the circle if you're a peasant for the first 10 minutes, lava denotes, and stay inside the circle if you're a king, lava denotes as well. One of the key things for this one is how well the kings managed to scale in that first 10 minutes. I highly recommend going approximately 5 builders if you're one of these positions around the outside. You have access to 6 mexes. It does help. Then reclaim some of them to get that T2 lab and get the T2 going. If you're in the middle of the map, your job is to eco yourself up. There is an argument for doing a collaboration across the... across with 1 or 2 of the other players to help them get T2 early. We see that very well out of particularly Platinum Blonde and Rosie, but it is also equally viable just to go it your own way. Just have to make sure that you are capable of dealing with threats in the early game.
Commander self-destructed.
It does look like we're going to have an interesting lane in this bottom right hand side. It will be hard to walk across with that ramp now being enhanced. If you're on the outside of the map, key things are to make sure that these co-op corners manage to work together to get a single T2 lab and help T2 just about everybody in the area. The more metal between everyone, the better. There are 4 co-op corners. The more players you can cram in each corner, the better, because it does help with the early game. Any minutes you can shave off that early game makes a huge difference at the outer game. In the late game.
Alright, bro, you're going to have to take this one mostly yourself, but I'm silenced.
Oh dear. Tank Tom, are you in the game or are you spectating?
I am spectating.
Very good. In that case, it sounds like you are lead caster in this one.
Oh boy.
Commander self-destructed.
We are having quite a few comms detonate, which is never a great feeling when you're in the middle and you can just hear them going pop, pop, pop. That means that more often than not, they turn into T2 very quickly.
It does look like the lava is not damaging anything, which is interesting.
That is.
Does look like we're having a bit of a few weird issues tonight.
I wouldn't put it past the exact position of the lava and the damage being potentially slightly different, but that is not something that I'm going to be overly concerned about.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Oh dear,
I am
that's right.
seeing that. Look, they're not going beyond stuff, so I'm not particularly
They haven't broken a rule yet, so it's okay. There's no rule that says you can't build in the lava. It's just that you can't attack them, and you can't build offensive structures that are in range of enemy buildings. So, what is happening here? Oop.
We can see that the kings are going through. That is an interesting setup of wins there. The the Kings are going through doing their usual stuff. We're seeing T2 starting to come out for most of the players. So they should all be on track for having their
Oh, where was that?
It's deleted. It's
Okay.
Battle resumed.
Sophie drawing love hearts on the other side of the. Look, it's technically a rule break, but I'm just gonna leave it. Oh dear. So it looks like tonight's a little bit of a chaotic game, but we are seeing a very interesting strat out of Daoshi Bag, going with the winds all the way down the front, relying entirely on the construction vehicles to get it done, as compared to the build power. Leaving the build power for the T2 does look like that's going to get pretty close to completing, just based off of what they have, even with everything going. Even with everything being produced at the moment. So I don't mind that, because the wind itself is a very viable source of energy, if not. The only problem is that it's usually inconsistent. So you just have
that's
to.
more than enough to get you into that T2
Battle
phase.
paused.
What are we seeing?
It would be lovely if we could set those to hold fire. That one's a hard one. They weren't really doing anything wrong sitting there, but they are now, because the mines are being laid. That's technically within the realms of where you can lay mines, so it's we'll see if we get a response from the player. Otherwise, I am going to have to delete them, which is
I
not
think it's
ideal, but
great.
it's.
definitely not too far forward.
It looks
Look,
like it's
units
just
aren't
mutual
allowed to attack
destruction.
until
10 minutes.
10 minutes. So
Hmm.
you're more than welcome to build them. Either put them on hold fire or keep them back off of the top of the cliffs until that 10-minute mark, just so that you don't accidentally hit something like a constructor or those sorts of things, because the Kings are allowed to build within that space.
Yep. It's just one of those hard ones. We just have to make a judgment call on it, because I don't think that was in any way malicious, but it does prevent the Kings from defending. So it is a problem that has to be dealt with, and we don't have the ability to. We don't want to keep the game too paused.
We're at 7 minutes.
We are at 7 minutes, and we've got some interesting builds out of a few of the Kings. Fitmo is going to have a lot of trouble, I think. I think Fitmo is going to have a lot of trouble defending his lane.
Yeah.
As is Hawkeye. And so what happened to Hot Potato's build with? Oh no, there is a fusion coming down. It's just low build power. Interesting.
Commander self-destructed.
So definitely going to be an interesting one. And one of the things is we have so many beholders up on these hills. It definitely looks like we're going to have quite a few. There's going to be a lot of knowledge for the peasants on where it is feasible to attack. Dominus is also a little bit behind on the fusion as well, but does have the metal for it, just not the build power. I think we've got a lot of players that are playing outside of their normal faction, and it is certainly affecting their speed.
Hmm. Yeah, this is going to be a tight 10 minutes, isn't it?
Yeah, with 1 minute 30 to go, I'm worried for the Kings.
As am I. Because I'm not seeing many that are...
Do we have King leave? Because we've got Psycho Pew Pew up the top with 2 economies.
You might be correct there.
Yeah. Horloff seems to have lagged out. That's going to be a rough hold. Still getting the right units out, which is Pounders. So Cool has had a pretty interesting idea in chat. He wants the peasants to build a conga line of comms into the middle of the map, self-deing enough that they produce a lava stream, which will cut the kings in half. I do like that idea.
That would be amazing.
That would be fantastic. Unfortunately, the King's Hill is deceptively tall, as you can see if I go down. It's going to be a lot of work to get that all taken down a peg. All right, 10 seconds to go. We have quite a interesting King's Lane. One fusion in the middle, Aphis coming up now, and then most players with a fusion or building a fusion at the moment. Not a lot of defenses around the place, but also not a lot of offensive units. Only 371 on the field at any given time. Sophie heading in with a comm to get D-guns on those twin guards. We'll probably lose the comm, but that has opened up a gap for the ticks, and that is a nice big assault coming in. They are going to run into some LLTs over on this side, but I do think enough of them will get through, which is not ideal. Does look like on the left-hand side we do have similar ticks coming through. Unfortunately, Psycho just did not have enough time to get defenses at two entrances. Unexpectedly taking a king's base is always a difficult thing to do, and these ticks just running riot over here. Still, Psycho has managed to clean it up. Pounders are good units, but the ticks on the right hand side are heading into the middle of the map. Getting reclaimed is good, but they are finding themselves some nice gaps. If they can grab this win, that'll be quite nice, because it will chain react. Just one more. Oh, needed one more, but didn't get it. Is moving away from anything that could potentially deal damage. So it's just going to be a bit of a menace in the middle. See what they can find. Does look like a good amount of chain reacting just there. Now grabbing some mechs. Heading over to Oratab, should be able to defend it with these fiends and the comm. And they are heading back around, getting boxed out, but they're going to do as much damage as they possibly can on the way out.
Running around trying to find conversion and win whatever they can deal damage to.
Yep, and that's the thing, they've stayed alive for quite a long time. They've been a menace. All those fiends are not on the front line helping, but they are getting cleaned up by build power just there. Psycho, fantastic hold on the front line. This is the exact right call when you're in this position. If you can't get your defenses down, just go Pounders. Pounders are ludicrously strong. Look at that was a gap, and they still killed everything running through it. So really nicely done. Does look like an offensive play out of Hawkeye here, but doesn't make it all the way up the ramp. King's in an interesting position, especially since they're being sniped from the high ground by Rob the Madman. This is a really good place to have sharpshooters if there aren't too much defenses at this stage of the game. If only there was a follow-up. Those sharpshooters have opened a lane completely. If units were there to take advantage, that would be devastating, but now we do have some sumos getting in the way. Sumo's surprisingly good. Saw them in a game Twig was playing the other day. If you are interested in watching him playing some games, then check out the stream on non-Kings Nights. But I did see the value of these sumos against T1. Oh my god.
We are seeing a stream of tumbleweeds coming in on this top right side. None of them have been able to...
Oh man, look, I love it. Any technical unit is fantastic. So the more technicals, the better. This now snipers here should be able to do a decent amount of damage to that comm if they can get the shots on. Pounders trying to make their way forward to deal with them. This LLT is legal, by the way, because the ground has been seized. However, if it does get deleted, if it does get taken and pushed back, then they can't just automatically rebuild there. You have to actually hold the ground. The Fringe up here, along with Dipsy, trying to... Oh. What got that comm?
That I am not sure.
Was that a tumbleweed kill?
It could well have.
That would be awesome if that was a tumbleweed kill. I wish I'd seen that. King's not in a good spot right now, honestly. 1.3 thousand, 1300 metal income right now at the 14-minute mark. It's not the worst, but we do like to see by the 15-minute mark that the Kings and the Peasants start closing the gap. But with a lot of, there is a lot of lanes that are keeping enough pressure on that you can't just build. Hot Potato doing a good job of tremoring the high ground. Units coming in to try and deal with that from the peasants, but they are running into a wall of tigers. Tigers don't have the highest DPS, but they are pretty good against those T1 units, especially when not all of them come in at once. On the top side of the map, units just being thrown at the pounder wall erected by Psycho. The T1 just is not... Pounders in bulk are a really tough unit to push through. Your spam just immediately dies, and they have enough bulk that they can run themselves at the Rocketeer lines. And whilst they will die because they are outsped by the Rocketeers, it takes ages. Gaps started trying to be found, but even just the handful of pounders that exist are cleaning up the units that are coming through. Just such big AoE for a tier 1 unit. It is fantastic. The Centurions just not able to punch them either, because these things are just, they're quite tanky. I do remember in one of our earliest videos against another YouTuber, Pounders became a nightmare unit for him. Does it look
that
like...
was
that was a while ago.
a lifetime ago.
That was a while ago.
Yeah.
Catapults making their way onto the field. T3 now starting to rain down on the high grounds. Mostly T1 units defending. So that's going to be... You basically have to rush that with T1 if you want to kill it early game. But there are some Shivas which act as fat boys in this situation. That will help to clear up those T1 units, as well as some T1 units themselves. Shivas, the rest of the Shivas not quite here yet, so those blitzes are going to get some damage on.
Big breakthrough on the top left.
Ooh, big breakthrough on the top left. It is. The Pounders have finally gone down. Plenty of Twin Guards here to clean a lot of this up, and that one Pounder. Pounder's strong. Pounder's very strong. So
I do like having the couple of Twin Guards near your base, but when that leak eventually breaches, having something to fall back to, because by the time they get there, there's normally not many, but if you don't have anything, you're kind of screwed.
So one of the things to bear in mind is that when you go that T2, the T2 units are strong individually, and going for things like a Tremor is allowing for that offensive power, but you just have to find that balance, and it does look like Psycho has that balance on lock at the moment. He's got just enough Pounders that is keeping the enemy units at bay, and he's got the Tremor, which is going to start being able to push all of this stuff back. As long as he can keep that Tremor alive, he can assault the high ground positions, no worries. Kings starting to make their way up the ramp. Shiva's nice and bunched up on the ramp, getting ready for that degunning. But I do like that they're there instead of just walking the catapults up. It is going to allow for the catapults to just keep doing damage from the high ground. Rosie going with a Whistler, trying to push everything back with Whistlers. When you've got a low level, when you've got only limited T1, I actually don't mind that. Gives vision, and they can also range into some of the areas. Did also distract for that comm. That comm just managed to clean up all but one of those Shivas. So super nice distraction there. I like it. Hawkeye trying to get himself a radar on the top of the hill. As long as it is a radar, that is legal. Just try not to make it something like an LLT. We're not at that stage just yet. Big T1 push heading in from the top left hand side. Lots of Janus, lots of Rocketeers, and a little bit of pork in the front with the Centurions, but the Pounders coming out in force to deal with this. And we do also have the Tremor that is just laying down fire as deeply as it can onto that ramp, not doing too much, but with a second Tremor should be able to start assaulting those high ground positions. Shiva's starting to pop up from Dominus as well to help push some of the T2 back. So really good hold here out of Psycho, who was put in a rough position, but Holdoff is back, so Holdoff can now deal with his own lanes as well. Does look like we have some Junos that are popping in, that have popped into the that have shot down into the King's base. Just remember, with those offensive with those structures, you're more than welcome to build them. Just keep them running defensively, not offensively. Someone can ping where that's coming from, then I can remove it, but I can't see it right away. Tom, do you want to try and find that? See if you can't get rid of that Juno, or point it out to me and I can get rid of it.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
Could be just about anywhere on the map because they do basically have
Yeah,
unlimited range. So doesn't look like it's going to matter too much because we do have all of the units on the high ground that are starting to get all the tarantulas that are termites that are starting to do good damage on that high ground. So nicely done there. One of the ways to break is to go in the place of least, where you least expect it. It certainly does make a good bit of difference. Though peasants are managing a counter-offensive in the bottom half of the map as well, bottom left and bottom middle doing a good job pushing everyone back. But the mammoths hero units right here doing a great job of pushing everything back. The snipers unable to deal with them just yet because of the spam line in front, so very nice. Tiger push coming towards a lot of these long range units that are undefended, but it is pulling back. I actually probably would have sent them in to just die and take those ones. Where are the gauntlets, Tom?
Well, that's right. I'll take him out. I was just going to give him half a chance to
Nah, just get rid
remove
of
them
them.
first. Yeah.
Does it look like the game is somewhat even at this point, and we'll see if the corners can come online soonish. We're seeing a 3,000 metal for the peasants and about a 2,700 from the kings right now. One tick trying to make a difference in the middle. Actually could if nothing targets it, because it is getting into position and doing some damage. It is firing on one of those. It is firing on a fusion reactor. As it tears up, it will start doing more damage. But it doesn't look like it's quite there yet. But more ticks coming in though. One of the lanes has been opened and they are coming in. Kargis though and demons quite good at cleaning things up. The demon will do a lot of damage to the friendly units though. As you can see, it immediately starts dealing a lot of damage to the construction turrets, but nicely done. Tom, just delete the defenses.
Yeah. We've given the warning. If we find any defenses shooting off the top of the cliffs, they'll just be deleted and we'll lose your metal.
Yep. It is in the rules, so do try to pay attention to that one.
If we have to delete them twice, then you'll just be kicked.
Yep.
And someone else will take your units.
Big attack coming. Has been constantly forced towards Psycho Pew Pew's lane. Large number of tremors has done a good job of clearing up the high grounds, but unfortunately they're just not quite the same as the pounders when it comes to defending against that T1. Nice push up on the right hand side, even more of the termites making their way up, but it is just currently termite spam versus tier 1 spam, and the termites are not getting the eco damage that they need in order to pay for themselves. Where is that Juno coming from?
I don't know. I'm seeing it landing on the right hand side, but I can't find where it is. Oh, there it is. I got it.
So make sure you use those defensively, not offensively. Does look like Shiva's pushing up on the left hand side in 3 different lanes. A bit of a divide and conquer strategy, but when you're running off of that is 10 fusions, you can definitely afford a shotgun approach. And it does look like in all those cases Com's out of position to deal with quite a lot of it, so getting a decent amount of damage up the cliff, but it isn't a surefire thing. The units are being whittled down by spam and whittled down by defenses, so it's certainly pushing the peasants back though, and the kings really need to find that spot that they can push out with, because they're playing a defensive game right now, which is not helping. It does look like we have the fringe coming down with a large T1 blitz assault. I do like to see that. They are going to be running into some heavy defenses. Bulwarks are surprisingly good against T1 because of the 3 sets of lasers they have. The scorpions not so great. They do take 2 shots to kill a blitz, and that second shot is almost all wasted because the damage, there's only a fraction of damage left. But it does look like there should be enough here to clean it up, which is unfortunate because that was a large metal investment, but good choice of defenses.
Yeah, it's always awkward when you end up losing a whole bunch of units and then you get stuck on your wreckages and basically block up the entire ramp so nothing else can get through.
One Kagi being supremely successful on this left-hand side, managing to get into the back of the base. And one of the things that happens because of space restrictions and the fact that if anything gets into your eco, it usually means total destruction anyway. A lot of players building a lot of their stuff very close together. In that case, it would have been a better option to have some spread there. But at the end of the day, it is hard to defend against Kagis regardless of how you build your base once they're in it.
Yeah, if a Kagi can see your base, then something's most likely gonna die.
Commander destroyed.
Who's got the advantage at the moment? The Kings have managed to stabilize and they're at the point where they're starting to push out. None of the corners have been hit yet.
That's the
And
problem.
they should be coming online. Ideally, we should have seen some of them already coming online and pouring some units into the middle. But they haven't been able to supply that pressure yet. But it's not far off.
Commander destroyed.
Does look like a decent T3 push coming to the top middle section. We do have some demons backed up by some tigers and a large number of catapults. Unfortunately, the catapults are walking reasonably far forward, and there is still some ticks here, so nothing to particularly clear the ticks, which means vision is available on those catapults. They are standing outside the range of the pulsars, but they are ducking in here and there. There you go, that's the first catapult taken down by a pulsar. You really need to get the spam. You need to get the spam in so that the pulsars. You need to be winning the spam war so that the pulsars can't get good shots on the catapults. Potentially adding something like jammer range to them as well, because behind these T2 walls, the pulsars are surprisingly resilient. So losing a lot of metal there for not a lot of gain. Interestingly enough, the range on a range on a tremor is slightly lower than the range on a catapult. But the catapult itself, it is high. It's higher than the catapult. But on top of that, the tremor will also fire a little bit deeper than it actually will if you put it. If you put it right on the edge of the range, just because of that box that it can fire within. So if you ever need to kill pulsars, sometimes tremors are quite a decent way of going about it.
The spread on the projectiles is often enough to give you just that little bit of extra range.
Exactly.
Ooh, this is going to be interesting.
Commander
They
destroyed.
make that in up there. That is a lot of tremors just raining down on those ramps up there.
I really wish they would move forward just a little bit, so they could be doing damage to things and not just the ramps. But at the end of the day, they're putting out so much damage on the ramps, it's letting the Kagis do their thing. But the Kagis coming up one at a time, which means they're getting absolutely wrecked by the pulsars, by the starlights, by the vanguards. So we're past the game where a trickle of units can do much more than anything. It does look like we have a ghost in the system, but it is getting somewhat cleaned up by the tigers if they can actually hit it. That cloak range, there we go, it's just tapped inside of the twin guard and now being cleaned up.
I was watching those gremlins waiting for them to get into that build power.
My big
Not doing
recommendation is to use scuttles in that oh no, you can't use scuttles, you don't have them. Never mind.
What option do they have? Not T3 Lab, that's T3 Lab. Tumbleweed is what they have, but I don't think they can go in bit, can they?
Tumbleweeds do not stealth. They do underwater though. Does look like the shotgun approach with Shivas has worked in this middle lane. They do take a lot of damage on the inside from the pulsars on the high ground, but they have managed to break at least one set of players on one lane. Hopefully we can see that translate, because this eco in the bottom left hand corner needs to be taken out sooner rather than later, because it's currently pumping out a Titan every approximately 15 seconds or so.
I love that they're massing them rather than throwing them in one at a time.
Yeah, don't
Because it
let the
means that when
peasants see what you have until you use it.
Yeah. See, the kings know that E3 is coming. We're approaching that, getting close to 30 minutes. E3 will be coming because they haven't hit the corners. It'll be coming online sooner rather than later. And it's just a matter of which side is going to hit you first. But ideally, you get out and start dealing damage before they can properly hurt you.
Correct.
Because the best way to defend against T3 is to make sure that the eco supplying it is dead. However, to do that, you have to make it up a ramp and start roaming around that top of the map. Otherwise, it's going to get real difficult in the next, we'll say 5 minutes or so.
And the Kings are just having so much trouble getting up these ramps, though we're seeing one of the biggest moves of the game so far. Tab is heading up with 18 Karganeths all at once, which should be able to punch through the 4 pit bulls that have been keeping them out of the fight. There's also Shivas and T1 in the mix as well, so they're going to get the pit bulls already lifted so those missiles can do the good damage right from the beginning. So that's going to be an easy cleanup. And look at the pathway they have to travel. They can get straight in, and this is one of the biggest problems that the peasants have right now, is that one of the biggest ecos in the game is now under some pretty serious threat. If these units just continue to move in and do nothing else, they should be able to punch very deeply into this supersized eco here.
That is a glorious move command they have on them at the moment.
Yes, it is. The walls are going to be a bit of a problem, and if there's a comm in the way, that could be a bit of a problem. But thankfully, those Shivas have just been providing a really good amount of screening as well, so the Kargi's just getting a very nice amount of damage here. Not to mention Juggernaut coming in this same area as well, which means that the Kings just can't focus any one spot, and this is what you want. The peasants can't focus any one spot. This is what you want to try and do to the Kings, but when the Kings manage to do it to you, it is very, very powerful. Double Pulsar is able to take out 1 Kargi per shot, but if the Kargis can get up here and pop that Aphis, that's going to chain react all the way through, and they should be able to pop the rest of the
T1
Pulsars.
walls, so the Kargis will go straight through them.
So we just need the Kargis to go up. Unfortunately, they're not. Also, T2 walls, I do think, stop Kargis, don't they?
Oh, they T2.
They are T2 walls. So that was some clutch wall play right there. So the Kargis now cannot go up that pathway, which saves those Aphis. So good catch there. And now the Kargis are facing one of the biggest problems they're going to have to deal with, and that is a lot of T1 spam.
Oh, that is...
Oh no.
A lot of things dead in the middle.
No.
What was that?
That was a comm exploding, which was expected, but the Kargis are going to get cleaned up here, unfortunately, for the for the Kings. And remember the Titans we talked about earlier? They're starting their march in. Unfortunately, they're not being supported overly much by T1. You want to give these guys vision. One of the things you really want to do is give these guys a vision. Try and win the spam battle for the player that has all these T3 units. But there's not too much in the way of what's going to stop them here, so we'll see how they go. They fight reasonably well against demons, provided they're actually firing against the demons instead of the T1 spam. And it does look like the spam has arrived. Unfortunately, it's arrived to be targeted by the demons. But as you can see, the demons are struggling to take down the Titans, because even the plasma shots do good damage to the demons, and once the lasers start getting involved, it is a lot of demon damage. So Titans now just need to keep working their way into the base. There is a Juggernaut here to defend, but one Juggernaut does not beat 5 Titans, and we also have a bit of backup for those Titans. That T1's going to do a great job, and we're about to see that Juggernaut go down to a D-gun. Nicely done, Rob the Madman.
T1 is getting into the base from this bottom side.
Rob the Madman, you've been doing consistently well all game today.
That is a big gun. Because that opens up this bottom side of the map huge.
And there we
was
go.
already sneaking in.
The Titans have just managed to pop one of the major ecos, and that is, unfortunately for the peasants, that hasn't chain reacted over to everything. It's very close though. There's one Aphis on 27%, and if that had gone down, it would have been a very, very big deal. Another Juggernaut in here to try and take out the Titans, but again, 5 Titans just have so much HP. And Rob the Madman here again to take out yet another Juggernaut. That's 2 Juggernaut kills for Rob the Madman. One Juggernaut left in between the Titans and another eco. Rob the Madman finally going down, but the Titans with the wrong sort of command, they are blocked by the Juggernaut. It does look like they're going to go down before taking that eco with Dominus's good little D-gun right there. The gap has now been closed by the other players, so even though one eco has been taken down, it's still 5,400 metal income for the Kings, which is plenty to keep this fight going.
It has required, what's that, 3, 4, 5 Kings to respond in force to this, which means that the other lanes are potentially going to be weaker for the next little bit, although it seems like there's not any pressure pushing down to capitalize on those units swinging across to cover this bottom middle section.
Top right hand side, we have Behemoth push out of Cobalt Moon. Unfortunately, Behemoth push in King of the Hills is not great, because there are so many comms on the enemy field that it is very, very easy to get in front of them. One of the things you have to do, you have to back up the Behemoths with catapults, so that you can keep killing the things that's killing your spam, so that you can have control over the lane and prevent any comm from getting anywhere close.
You need that T1 front to bump into the comms, so then you can see them and kill them.
Yep. Does look like we have Dominus on the left-hand side, who's been doing a lot of Shiva damage this game, is finally running into a rezzed Shiva wall, and is having to fight his own units, which is turning things a bit rough.
That is a great use of Resbot.
And that is one of the
enough
things.
army to hold them back.
We have seen Kings games be turned by one player who got wiped, then built maybe 50 wind and a T1 lab and rezzed T3 and rezzed a T1 to 3 army, and just came in from an angle that was unexpected because they thought it was clear. Rezzing units is super strong.
Once you've cleared a section, you often don't necessarily go back and swing through it particularly regularly. You might do it every 5 to 10 minutes if you think of it, but once you kill a section and you move on to a new area, you often don't go back particularly.
Kings have been on a defensive footing this entire game, no matter how much eco they get. We really need to see more build out of the player in the middle of the map. Oratab right now with a 1400 income, but does not currently have the ability to spend any of it, only spending 600 to 800. We're seeing most of the Kings near full on metal, so the Kings are barely managing to spend the giant economy that they have right now. So we need to see more investment in those bulky T3 units. Does look like we have an interesting push coming right now. We'll see how deep it can get, because it is running into some spam at the moment, which is one of the things that is hard for it to deal with. Question is, can it find any pathway in? It doesn't look like. Oh, it's been seen. It has been seen, and with that, the Juggernaut has taken most of it out. Question is, are the players paying attention? Because this could be absolutely huge if they're not.
This is where you park them next to the explosive bits and wait for something to shoot at them.
The thing is that there is a there is an anti-radar, so they have they are aware,
flashing.
and they were on hold fire when they revealed themselves. Man, what just happened?
Follow up missile out of the jug.
Oh my god, the Juggernaut killed Eco in the middle of the map. That's 3,000 metal income wiped off of the Kings team. That's a problem and a half, especially with the massive push that's coming from this right hand side.
And that just shows how devastating it is for the peasants to get a unit into the middle. Because it
And
doesn't
that's-
necessarily need to have the damage, it just needs to die to something like a big T3 unit next to some explosive eco.
What a crazy level of play! And now, without that without that economy in the middle of the map, without that build power, there is very little in the way to stop this large push on the bottom right hand side, and at the same time, Titan push on the bottom left hand side. We do see those 7 Titans have just managed to clear the T3 build, the T2 build power that's been pumping jugs out to defend in this bottom left-hand side. Dominus in trouble right here as the Titans just keep moving forward. They don't care what happens to them as long as they get in, and get in is where they're headed. They've just gotten in range of the economies. Seeing a nice packed economy over here, firing on those winds. We should see that conversion go down in just a second. The missile is on it. I do believe those missiles one-shot. They do. And that is now also shots onto the fusions, which should start going down. Oh, on the right-hand side, Aphis taken out as well. These Titans getting value across the entire map. Bottom side of the Kings wiped out, and the largest part of the economy, all of the Aphis stack, is about to go, and that should chain react most of the rest of the map. If they can get it, which they have, there we go. That is the chain reaction through most of the build power. Kings down to 1,700 metal income, and they were on 7,000 something only a few minutes ago, and that's just how quickly some stealth tanks can change a game. And by stealth tanks, I mean stealth tanks getting into the right position, and then a Juggernaut self-damaging the major economy of the game. Missile units.
The fact that the stealth tanks were already dead whilst the missile was mid-air,
Yep.
so they were dead by the time it landed.
So, very well played out of the Kings. It was a really rough start for you guys, having to take on some additional lanes, but very well done by the Peasants. The aggression was there early to keep some of the Kings occupied, and then it was all on from there. Couple of comms left to clear this one up, and then just 2 comms left for the Kings right now, and both of them just standing around waiting for the inevitable. Final pushes trying to happen, trying to get some damage done, but unfortunately, when the Kings aren't able to break out, they do tend to struggle to win at these ones. If there's no lanes that have been broken by the 30, if there's no corners that have been broken by the 30-minute mark, then just the space advantage and the location of the combat tend to give the Peasants a bit of a bonus. Does look like Kings have bowed out, and the last comm is about to be found by a Razorback. There it is.
As the Kings, if you're not getting up and dealing damage, then you're slowly starting to fall behind.
Yep. All right, ladies and gentlemen, congratulations to the Peasants. This has been a very strong showing out of them. So nicely done. So a quick look at those stats at the end is a little hard to see, but damage dealt, you can see the Kings put up a really good fight, but so too did quite a few of the Peasants. And then if we look at the metal production, you can see only one Peasant at the same rate as the Kings, but everyone else just putting enough pressure on that it didn't matter. All right, everyone, thanks for joining us for Faction Wars. It looks like we've had 1 Legion victory, we've had 1 Cortex victory, and we've had 1 Armada victory. So very nicely done tonight. And I think that's going to be it for us. Twig, I'm not sure whether you were continuing it going or not, but that is going to be it for the casting on the main. So I hope everyone's enjoyed. Like, subscribe if you want to play Beyond All Reason. Jump onto the Beyond All Reason website. It is free to play. Hope you enjoyed King of the Hill, and we will be back next week.
I'll be away for 1 week, guys. So see you in a fortnight.
That is Twig hiding away from waking the baby. All right, everyone. Catch you in the next one.
See you guys.